This is your First Alert Weather Breakdown, a deep dive into how weather works with meteorologist Evan Thomason.
Good morning and welcome on into the First Alert Weather Breakdown. I'm First Alert Meteorologist Evan Thomason. Welcome on, welcome in. What a day already here for your Thursday. And honestly, it doesn't even have to deal with weather. It has to deal with, kind of with weather. Earthquake is kind of it's on the edge of what weather is talking about. The thing is, when we looked up when we wanted more data, more information about the earthquake that happened this morning. Yes, there was an earthquake, for those of you that did not know. Second, in fact, this has been marked down. I believe is the second most powerful earthquake in all of Louisiana history. Really insane. The U.S. Geological Survey deals with that, not the National Weather Service. So, yeah, it was a 4.9 magnitude earthquake that happened in Red River County. In fact, Red River Parish. Let me give you the latest on what happened. Essentially, it's right by this yellow dot here, right in just to the northwest side of Coshada, south of Hall Summit. This definitely woke up a good amount of people, and it happened early in the morning. This happened around 5:30 a.m., and it could be felt across many areas, not just across northwest Louisiana, but also for East Texas. Kind of a wild system period there for us that definitely woke you up. That was definitely the main weather story here, certainly throughout this entire weather week, even though we technically did have a good storm system working through a little portion of the Arklatex here yesterday, believe it or not. In fact, we had a tornado warning in McCurtain County around 10:30 last night. Thankfully, nothing has been confirmed from that at all that hit the north side of McCurtain County. And thankfully, everything's looking good there, even after they got shook up with some rumbles of thunder and lightning in from last night. We even got a little bit of light rain early this morning, but that is pretty much gone away completely. And now we're leading ourselves into a completely dry break here for, again, the entire Arklatex until we get into tomorrow late afternoon and into tomorrow evening. That's when storms come back into the region here for you, and that's when we're tracking out 2 storms across the weekend. Both days, but finally, now that we've gotten into Thursday, I can say we've started to fine-tune our timing of our forecast a lot more. Our future track's getting a little more of a good grasp as to when the greatest storm coverage is going to be. Do I think it's going to rain all weekend long in your location? No. Is it going to rain in your location on both Saturday and Sunday? Most likely, yes. But that's the point of doing this forecast. We're going to tell you which spots are good and which spots are not so good here for the weekend, and tell you exactly when you can get out this weekend, if you can get out at all. All right, so let's hop on in to our big weather story. All right, my graphics are loading. We're ready to go. This is what we're talking here for the day today. Before we get into our future track, that's our next graphic ahead here for you. We are talking all about the stormy picture, which continues to last in for the next couple of days. This is not just a weekend issue. I know most of you are just focused on the storms of the weekend, and for good measure, that's first and foremost in front of us, but we also have to get through storms next week. I'm expecting more scattered rounds of storms showing up here for next week as we continue to have that low pressure center in place just off to the west side of the Arklatex here for you. That's going to give us not just one, but multiple rounds of storms that could be bringing in chances of severe weather, each and every single one of them. So here's the future track here for the rest of the day today. We've seen some storm coverage up on the north side out of the Arklatex, but on the northern side of the Arklatex up towards eastern Oklahoma and western Arkansas, most of that tries to fizzle out. You might see a brief stray shower or two later this afternoon across northeast Texas and southeastern Oklahoma. Yes, the same spots that got in on the storm coverage last night. Only. Besides that, bulk of the Arklatex stays dry here through today and through tonight. Again, clouds start to billow up again tomorrow morning, leading us into the same picture. Another cloudy morning, followed by another sunny afternoon here for your Friday. But watch out for those little cells that are starting to pop up around like Mount Pleasant, Longview tomorrow afternoon. Now, to be fair, on this future track in particular, just so you know, this is one of many future tracks across the board, but this is usually the one that we kind of trust the most. There are other future tracks. What I want to get at is that there are other future tracks that do show those little cells just west of Mount Pleasant being a little more stronger than what's shown on this graphic. That could bring us a chance of severe weather with those little itty-bitty cells that come through essentially between Friday afternoon and Friday night. Then once we get into the overnight hours, it kind of starts off as the same picture where we start off with the cloud cover again there early Saturday morning. But I really think we jumpstart ourselves on a few stray light rain showers early Saturday morning. Once you get into the middle of Saturday morning, that's when the whole line starts to creep through the northern end of the Arklatex. So it actually looks like Saturday morning, I-20 corridor southward. You should be okay. Actually, here's the thing. Once the line of storms starts on your location, it's going to be raining for a while. That gets to around the I-20 corridor around or just after lunchtime. And then you still see the extent of the storms in the northern end still continuing into spots like Idabel into Queens still through the middle of the day. So if you're looking at, like, say, Shreveport, the storms start around, like, lunchtime and don't let up until more towards, like, Saturday night. I mean, you got still storms across the central and southern portions of the Arklatex all afternoon long, even into 10 p.m. Saturday night in those locations there for you. Then for the very end of this future track, we might have a brief dry break in some spots overnight before you get another round of those scattered storms showing up again there for Sunday morning and midday. I think everything clears out by Sunday night. Here's another look at another future track here for you, what I want to show you as well with those storms here for tomorrow. Again, rest of today, and still most of the daytime hours here for your Friday still look okay, to where I don't think you need to bring an umbrella out to work or school at all for the most part. But there's those little, like, stray cells that are popping in there for your Friday afternoon. Again, they mostly happen in the afternoon hours, maybe the evening. You see just to the west side of Mount Pleasant, some of those dark reds showing up. Some of those cells could even creep across East Texas again late on Friday night. That's what I'm watching out for with that severe weather threat that could be shown there for your Friday before we really bring in the rain again, as mentioned, all the way throughout the day on Saturday. All right, so here's the long-range future track again. There's Saturday. It's widespread storms across the Arklatex. There it comes back again for Sunday, mostly across the central and southern portions of the Arklatex there. That goes on away, but I want to show this long-range future track because we have another significant round of scattered storms that comes back somewhere around Tuesday and Wednesday of next week that we also have to discuss. So, details with these storms. Thankfully, the tornado risk is low. Did see a tornado warning, though, last night around McCurtain County, or in McCurtain County. That was with a low tornado risk. So, still stay weather aware just in case, but I'm not expecting a whole tornado outbreak by any means here for the weekend, which is good news. I'm only concerned about the flooding. I will say I did increase the hail and strong wind threat just a little bit. I will say I'm expected to see some of those storms mainly into the southern edge or southern half of the Arklatex for some stronger storms there from your Saturday into Sunday morning. Still a good amount of rain, though, for the northern half, certainly. Rainfall potential, though, over the weekend. This is the main thing I'm watching out for region-wide, is the fact that from DeQueen all the way down to Nacogdoches and Natchitoches, everybody across the board is hitting up 3 to 5 inches of rainfall from this system. It is a good, healthy dose of rainfall, but to be fair, it's a lot to have and a lot to hold in, essentially, within a 24 to 48-hour span, essentially. Then we get into Friday. All right, here are the severe weather risks across the map. So for Friday, again, even though there's only a few couple cells showing up there for Friday night, again, they bring us a slight risk of severe weather. Now, to be fair, there is a greater risk of severe weather outside the Arklatex across eastern Oklahoma, but this could carry over, again, with a slight risk of severe weather, in effect for the western half and Texarkana across the Arklatex. Marginal risk goes for everybody else, and that will be in store here for your Saturday. And what I'm looking at is overall the system looks to weaken a little bit as it kind of rolls into the bulk of the Arklatex. So Shreveport, you've been staring at both graphs, you're just under a marginal risk for both days, which still includes, a marginal and small chance of severe weather that could happen, but it's not as likely. If you do see for Saturday, though, we do have the yellow risk that is in effect for areas from Nacogdoches to Natchitoches across the southern edge. Again, that's just for a slightly greater chance of seeing some hail, some strong winds. I would look out for that mainly Saturday afternoon through Sunday morning. This is for Tuesday of next week, beyond the weekend storms, believe it or not. We have another severe weather risk set up with those storms that I mentioned between Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. So keep your eye out on that. This is the grass graphic I have before the 7-day forecast. Is going over specific areas of the Arclitex with their own forecast here for you. So for Texarkana, I'm expecting most of the storms between Friday night throughout the day Saturday. I don't think Texarkana gets much in terms of storms on Sunday. If you got any plans on Sunday across Texarkana or want to make weekend plans, Sunday is your absolute day to do so. Then we get into Shreveport. This is where we have legitimate chances for storms, certainly on Sunday, so I'd look out for that still. If you had to pick a day out or time out in the weekend to get out in Shreveport, I'd pick the second half of Sunday. That's looking like your best shot overall. And maybe Saturday morning, too. I will say Saturday morning starts off dry, but the thing is, once the storms start, which according to our future track happens around lunchtime on Saturday, it's just going to be a washout for the rest of the day. Then, once we head into Natchitoches, that's where we have no chance of storms on Friday at all. So that is clear all the way through Friday night. But this area has the greatest chance of storms sticking around all day long on Sunday. In addition to already dealing with storms, pretty much starting in the early afternoon hours for your Saturday. So I'd say if you had a time to get out across the weekend in Natchitoches, I would make it first thing into the weekend, Saturday morning, before you get all that rain. So essentially what I'm trying to get at is the bullseye of the storm coverage across the Arclitex is going to be Saturday. Sunday, it gets a little more isolated, but there's still plenty of storms that hit the central and southern portions of the Arclitex here for you. Here's your 7-day forecast here for you. Again, most of the rest of the work week is still fairly dry for the bulk of the region, carrying on our nice dry stretch of days and still continuing on that drought, which is significant around the region still. But then we get into multiple rounds of storms, which give us plenty of rainfall. Not just with the system over the weekend. The system over the weekend, again, as before mentioned, is still going to give us plenty, 3 to 5 inches. But the system next week could even give us more than that. Tuesday and a Wednesday, another separate round of scattered storms bring us another bounce back time for rainfall that you're just going to have to watch out for during your work and school days. Again, that's happening somewhere around Tuesday and Wednesday. I think we'll fine-tune that timing a little closer to the time frame. After Wednesday of next week, it looks like we finally dry out with a little bit of a dry stretch of days for you then. So this is a rainy long-term future, so I know we're dry still here for the next 2 days, but I'd still make the most of them if you need to do anything outdoors before Saturday hits, especially even just in the morning hours where we have storms hitting in areas in the northern end of the Arclitex up for Saturday morning. That's what I got for your full forecast. Obviously, lots to go over. CJ Cartledge will have your next update at the noon show here for today on your Thursday. He will also be your host tomorrow for the First Alert Weather Breakdown on Friday's episode. Same time, same place, 10:30. Again, CJ, he'll be your host here for tomorrow. He'll keep you in tune with all the details over the weekend storm, especially because he is working this weekend too. So stay tuned with that. KSLA News 12. Again, we'll continue to keep you first alert. Trust us, all right? Anyways, you have a great rest of your Thursday. Enjoy the sunshine while it's out here for today and tomorrow. And then brace yourselves for the storms coming up through the weekend. Hopefully you got some good indoor plans because you'll need them. Yeah. Anyways, have a great rest of your day. We'll see you again tomorrow, 10:30. Be there, be square. And most importantly, stay weather aware. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Take it easy.